My name is Naeem Kalwar. If you don't know me, I work as extension soil health specialist out of Langdon District Extension Center. What I'm going to do here is very briefly talk about how to profitably grow annual cash crops on saline and sodic areas. I don't really need to tell you guys how to grow annual cash crops profitably on good spots. I'm not an agronomist, I work with soils, but saline and sodic areas do result in net losses. So that's what I would be focusing on. The other thing that this trial has been going on since 2020, and I got 30 minutes. I most of the time go over time. So I'm going to try and respect the time for today. This is Dr. Fenton's last roundup, so I'm going to respect that and try to be on time. So I'm going to focus on 2023, what we did in 2023. Okay, if we have time at the end, and if you guys are interested, I have a few pictures from the previous years. I always make it long, so I do have some pictures after the question slide, and I do have some yield numbers from the past years. I'm going to start right off. You see those spots? You see the white salt crust? Very visible. This is often combined with soil sodicity, 99.99%. I'm not going to get into the details, but I don't have the soil results. So I could, with confidence, say there's salinity combined with sodicity. What is the difference here? These pictures, I took them in April 2021, so it's spring. Crops were harvested the fall before. What you see here is there you don't see the visible white salt crust. You see very good crop stubble. That means good crop. There were good stands and good crops were harvested. People probably made a decent amount of money. Do you think people made money here? Okay, so whatever money we spent here, fertilizer, seed, your time, fuel, there was zero return. This is why we should care about these issues. And if nothing is going to grow, these spots are going to get worse. Okay, I love to use NDSU crop budgets. These are 2023 budgets. They will come up with the new budgets, but I write this beginning of January. So I'm using last year's number, which should be very similar. These are for Northeast North Dakota. So Ramsey County is part of that. What these numbers are for fertilizer, seed, and 1/3 of the total fuel and lubrication cost. There's no cost of renting the land or any other cost. And look how much money we are spending just at the time of planting. $90 to $250 per acre. And if you have these kind of spots, you can see what happened here. You could go take a good vacation in the winter. Winters hasn't been tough this year so far. So you could live in North Dakota. But I would say go do something fun. Anything. Or invest in your land. Apply amendments, whatever. Soil test. Do something else, please. Do not spend money, because whatever money you're going to spend on fertilizer, seed, this is what is going to happen to that money. Okay. I like to, some of you have heard me talk about these issues a lot, but I'm going to quickly differentiate soil salinity versus sodicity again, but that's very crucial for managing these issues. Soil salinity is caused by high levels of water-soluble salts, such as table salts. These both are chemical ion. I don't know, Lindy, this thing is, yeah, so do you want me to just use my natural voice?
Yeah, let me see if this one is better.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you turn that one on?
Yes.
But a woman, I thought I'm a singer. You see, everybody has dreams. I still have dreams. Okay, you see here, these two are both chemical ions, they attract each other, and together they form a salt. You see salts when the soils are dry. When it rains, salt crystals get dissolved and you won't see them. When the soils will dry again, salts will recrystallize and that's when you see them. The biggest negative impact of excess level of water-soluble salts, that they not only compete with plant roots for water, but for seed too. When you plant the seed here, the seed needs to absorb the water for embryo to germinate. This is why we see time and time again, if you planted seed on saline spots, your germination would be poor and delayed. That's the most significant negative impact salinity will have on your germination and the stands. So salts directly affect plants. They do not directly affect soils, but there are indirect effects. For example, if nothing is going to germinate here, I have seen headlands around Langdon, and I'm talking about 150 feet wide, at least quarter-mile long, since 2017, and nothing different is done to that headland, and it keeps getting bigger. So what do you think is going to happen to that land? Will the soil blow or not? And they kill too. They're not no-tillers. So the soil is blowing because there's no cover, they're losing money, and there's no residue. Annual crops do not add a lot of residue to the soils anyway, but there's no residue to go back into that soil. Anyway. Okay, so this is soil sodicity. A lot of people think that the sodicity is related to sodium, having excess levels of sodium-based salts. If there are excess sodium salts, that will cause salinity impact, not sodicity. Sodicity happens when your sodium, excess sodium, this is exchangeable sodium, attracting clay and humus. What it does is, it starts breaking away the clay and humus particles from these chunks or soil aggregates, and soil settles like a dense layer. Essentially what happens, we are losing macropores. Macropores are crucial for moving water, soil water infiltration. And this is the reason sandy soils move water faster, because overall number of pores are more in higher numbers in clay soils, but the sand has more macropores. And soil sodicity makes you lose those macropores. So sodicity per se directly affects soils, not plants, but actually indirectly affects plants too, because sodicity will make your salinity worse. Where are the salts going to go? Down below? Well, if the water is not moving, salts are not going to move either. This is the reason oftentimes we see the depths where the sodicity levels are high, salinity levels are high too. Okay, I'm just going to quickly give you a little bit of insight how much sodicity can affect the way water moves through your soil layers or profile. So we have a no-till versus conventional till demo going on at the Langdon Center since the last 3 falls or 2 years. I'm only going to focus on no-till good spot and no-till bad or unproductive spot. The test for measuring soil salinity is soil EC. Okay, so, and I'm only going to focus on the first 12 inches. This number, depending upon the crop, should be less than, this is saturated paste in case if you are wondering. This number should be less than 1. I've seen in good soil, this number is around 0.5, 0.6. Okay, so a little bit high. You look at the 3-fall EC, 4.18, 3.06, 2.54. And SAR or sodium adsorption ratio is a test for measuring soil sodicity, the sodium we talked about, which is not present as a salt. NDSU research suggests this number should be 5 or less. I personally like to see this number less than 3, but I'm okay with 5 right now. So what have been our SAR on good ground? 4.45, 5.09, 6.58. I would call it for now, I'll call it low SAR. Okay, Okay, when we go to, so here are the areas we're talking about. You see here? Nothing grows here. Here, we had soybeans. These pictures are from fall of 2021. This is still like that. Okay, so now the other spot, what is the SAR now? 24, 24, 23. I'm gonna call it high SAR. What we do here, found a 6-inch diameter ring, measure measured water, 444 milliliters of deionized water, and simulate 1 inch of rain. And that is taken up, I simulate another inch. Soil is still saturated. And I time it. So what happened in the fall of 2021? The low SAR, which is this. So this is low SAR, this is a high SAR. Okay, first inch, 2 minutes. Second inch, a little bit over 8 minutes. What happened to the high SAR? First inch, 23 minutes. Second inch, 1 hour, 16 minutes. Fall of 2022. First inch on low SAR, close to 3 minutes. Second inch, 5.5 minutes. High SAR, first inch over close to 27 inches, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 20 seconds. Okay, similar to 2021. This fall, I went in there. So first, good spots. I always measure the good spot first because I know it's going to be quick. I'll be done with that. So first inch, 1.5 minutes. Second inch, 3.5 minutes. When I was walking towards here, I had no clue what I'm getting into. Most of the time, I had no clue what I'm getting into. Sometimes I do have a clue. So I thought I had plenty of time. The first inch took 6 hours. The second inch took 18 hours. Don't promise your wife that you're going to come home at a certain time if you're measuring soil water infiltration on a high SAR soil. And I'm not kidding you, because she thinks that you're lying. What kind of a scientific project you're doing, nobody else is doing. So you told her that it may take you 4 hours and it's going to take you 18 hours now. But if you want to be like a hero, you know, you could say I'm doing something very special. I went back. I wanted to verify those results. I went back. I got a little bit of improved results. First inch on high SAR, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 30 seconds. Second inch, 5 hours, 20 minutes, and 58 seconds. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I see 2 trends here. Low SAR with no till. So this was the third fall. Actually, slowly, soil water infiltration is improving, if you see here. Not a big difference, but it is improving. High SAR, despite the no-till, our infiltration rate is actually getting worse. So there are no-till benefits, it's getting worse. So, and this is not some, you know, experiment we did in the lab. This is all in the field, undisturbed soil. And this is how it looks. Anyway. So I'll be honest with you. Here's what I'm going to say on this topic. Can you keep me on track on time? Okay. So how much of a heads up you're going to give me? How about 8 or 10 minutes? Okay. Okay. Thank you. The reason I say this, I personally speaking, I knew that sodicity affects soil water infiltration. What I did not know how much, because when I first measured it, in my first fall, this was a big shock going from these numbers to these numbers. I had no clue. And at least to say that last fall was another shock. Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about some changes in the weather. NDOT records rain from April to October. And we look at the overall rain numbers, it could be very deceiving. I consider 2020 Langdon normal year in terms of rain, 2021 dry, 22 very wet and good. I'm not talking about overall numbers, I'm talking about crop-wise on these spots. And 2023 again dry. So if you look at the overall total inches, how many inches we got in 2021, 16.66, 2022, 17.53. They look very similar, less than a 1 inch difference. So there's the difference. So I separated the growing season. First part is April to July, and then the second part is August, September, and October. 2021, in the first part, we got 6.42 inches of rain. Same period in 2022, 13.72. That's huge. So on these saline spots, the salts are competing with seed in the seedlings in the plant for water. This is huge. When it rains, suddenly there's free water availability. So the competition is less. So we got most of the water when we actually needed. That's why we got very good yields, even at very high levels of surface salinity and sodicity. So 2 years can look very similar. But if you dissect those years, you will see there's a huge difference. So later part of 2021, 10.24 inches. It made up for itself. 2022, 3.81. Not that I don't care about the fall rain, but when we actually needed that water, we got it in 2022. Very good spring and early part of the growing season. Another difference. A lot of people say, well, 2021 was dry and 2023 was dry. How much water we got in the first part of the 2021? 6.42 versus 3.69. There was way less water in the topsoil last spring, early part of the growing season compared to 2021. So we could generalize 2 years, but there could still be a great deal of difference. Okay, now I'm going to come to the trial. Trial is started in 2020. There are 3 levels of salinity and sodicity. We call them level 1, 2, and 3. Low to moderate, moderate to high, very high. And just so that you know, we are labeling these low to moderate, moderate to high, and very high based on whatever the levels of salinity and sodicity is in the first 6 inches or surface salinity, I call it. 6 to 24, subsurface. And then also we are thinking about crops like barley and oats. We are not thinking about soybeans. I know there were some people from Soybean Council. I don't mean to say how much? 10. Thank you. You see, I need bigger portions, so bigger ends up would be better. Okay, soil results. You see, what is the main difference between these 3 levels? The only difference is that in level 1, 0 to 6 inch depth, your salinity levels, I would call them moderately high, and then the sodicity levels are low. There's no other difference. But that makes a huge difference for the seed and the plants, because seed gets the germination, and then the plants can keep their roots shallow in that depth to continue to grow. Because in the 6 to 24 inch depth of the same level 1, levels, salinity and sodicity levels are very similar to the first 6 inch levels of level 2. That's the main difference. Okay, these are the varieties in the planting data. I cannot really tell you variety. I was told at the last moment that, there could be some issues with, variety names and this and that. So, but if you came to my office, we could have a casual conversation over coffee. So, okay, there are some differences in the seed bank, mainly due to sodicity. There were differences in the germination, growth, vigor, crop maturity, yield, quality, and not just the differences between crop, but among varieties. And then, like I said, we observed that plants keep their roots shallow in the depth where the growing environment is much more conducive. And then it also matters whether the roots are fibrous, shallow roots versus deep tap roots like sunflowers, for example, in a year like 2023. I'm not proud to say that I tilled these spots, but I tilled it because I had to get it planted. This is level 1, 2, and 3. You see, it didn't matter how many passes I would make with the increase in soil sodicity, the seed bed got chunkier and chunkier. Apart from the fact that sodicity causes the crusting, that affects your germination, but the seed bed was rough. Every year we felt that difference, even though with each year, because we are continuously tilling these plots, the effect has mellowed down a little bit, but the effect is still there. Germination. Seed needs to also absorb the water for it to germinate. So when you go from level 1 to 2, there was always a difference of week, 8-9 days, depending upon the year. And level 3, there was a difference of anywhere from 17-18 days to 1 month. And that's, so salinity not only affects your germination, but it delays it. And that results in delayed maturity as well. The level 3 plots were never ready for harvest, even though level 1 would be totally ready. Okay, here, so now it also makes a difference whether you have small grain seed or a bigger seed. So last year we saw severe crusting, but sunflower seed was bigger, so it would pull through the cracks, and then at times it actually broke the crusted layer a little bit and came out. Well, barley and oat seed was not that lucky, a small seed. Okay, here's how sunflowers, oats, and barley looked in 2023. Level 1, that was level 1, this is level 2. You can see the growth in the stands of the barley and oats are now going down a little bit, but sunflowers exceeded my hopes or my expectations last year. They look very good. And then this is your level 3. Oats germinated a little bit, barley, there were hardly any plants. Barley, by the way, out of the last 4 years, in 3 years, it didn't produce any yield in level 3 plots. 2022 was the 1 year it produced something. Oats have been producing 3 bushels, 5 bushels here and there. Sunflowers actually looked exactly the same. But what I did not know that deer really likes sunflowers. So it has skewed our results a little bit. See, I'm learning about hunting too. Okay, so here's how the difference in the roots. And a year like 2023, when there was some moisture in the deeper depths, but there was hardly any moisture in the topsoil, it made a difference. That sunflower had a deep taproot system, and barley and oats had shallow, fibrous root system, but shallow. I would love to see those 3 crops growing in a year like 2022. No 2 years are the same, but we'll see what happens in the future. Yield and the quality data. Level 1, 3 barley varieties produce over 100 bushels per acre, 1 produced 97, but we went to level 2, 62% yield reduction. Level 3, 100% loss. Can you give me 2-3 minutes on the heads up? 3 minutes, okay. Oats, 3 varieties again produce more than 100 bushels per acre. 1 variety, 80 bushels in level 1, but level 2, 72% yield reduction. And level 3, roughly produced 6% compared to level 1, but it produced something compared to barley. Sunflowers, level 3 actually produced the best yields, but like I said, we had a lot of deer damage in level 1 and level 2, so I cannot really pinpoint. Bottom line is sunflowers did very well in all 3 levels. And here are some takeaway points. So if you have high sodicity, it will result in poor seed bed and soil crusting. And then with the increase in salinity, that will hurt your germination, delayed uneven germination, poor growth, vigor, delayed maturity, yield, and quality. It matters. Actually, it matters how much salinity and sodicity is in the first 6 or 12 inches compared to the deeper depths. Not that the deeper depths are not important, but the first 6 inches is where you plant your seed and the most of the plant roots are there. Then it also matters how much moisture we have in the spring, especially on these toughest spots. I'm not talking about your goodest spots. I'm talking about your toughest spots in the spring and then early part of the growing season. Plant root system is also very important. Like I said, in 2023, deep taproot system was a winner. Okay, and sunflowers, they came out as a winner. I used to say and think that sunflowers are not as salt tolerant as barley and oats, but 2023 proved me wrong. I would love to see these three crops side by side on that gradient in a year like 2022, but I'll see what happens in the future. Let's put it this way. Oats turn out to be a little bit more salt tolerant than barley, especially ND Hard. That variety continuously produces. You could laugh at 6 bushels per acre yield, but it's producing some air which is very hot. The spot is very hot. And then 2-row tradition barley, it most of the time outperformed not only the 2-row barley. So 2-row barley may be very good for malting, but when it comes to these toughest spots, tradition, to me, if I would be a farmer, I'll plant tradition. It actually outperformed Lacey 2, which is a 6-row barley. So to me, when it comes to barley on these toughest spots, tradition. When it comes to oats, ND Hard. Out of the varieties we tested. You are interested in seeing some old pictures from the previous years. I have some here. But otherwise, I don't know whether we had time or no, because we got another session right after this, so. Or any quick questions or comments? Next year, I want to tell you something. So Dr. Frenzen may retire, but he was the one who pushed me. Then along the way, I pushed others. So we all pushed each other, and we got 4 years of very good trial. Next year, what we are planning to do is to plant in beets, sugar beets actually, because there's a lot of talk. People throw these statements, oh, canola is salt tolerant. Well, we tried canola in 2022. You cannot beat that year's moisture. It didn't do anything in level 2 and 3. Level 1 was fine. Durum, I heard a lot. Well, durum is salt tolerant. Well, compared to say barley and oats side by side in the same year, what did it do? I now am a believer in sunflowers because they outperform barley and oats. So this is another thing we have heard about sugar beets. Well, they're salt tolerant. Well, we'll see how salt tolerant they are.